Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. Hey, I'm Littlefinger, and today doing a full tank review on the Churchill. As shown here in the garage, this is a Tier 5 British heavy tank. Certainly far from one of my favorite heavy tanks. Couple of reasons why. The gun only has a -4 degrees of depression, and your top speed is like 26-28 kilometers per hour. It does have some nice hull armor, but your turret is a giant weak spot on this tank. So considering you can't play on hills and you're slow and have no mobility, it is a pretty easy tank to pen, in my opinion, if you are an enemy. So it's a difficult tank to play. Let's take a quick look here at some of the characteristics. Another reason I don't like British tanks in general is they have a lot of modules, and you can see here you have to work your way all the way up to the top gun. We have 840 hit points, and you can see here our hull armor is 177, but our turret from the front is only 88. So if you're aiming at this tank, you want to be aiming for the turret. We come in at 40 tons, and we have a speed limit there of 26 kilometers per hour, and our traverse speeds are only 26 degrees per second with a turret traverse speed of 24. So the 75 millimeter Vickers HV gun is actually pretty good. You've got 11.5 rounds per minute with some nice pen on it at 145, doing 160 damage per shot. So the gun is certainly something that is good going for it, but like I said, has too many negatives in my opinion to be a tank that you're gonna hold on to for very long. So let's run through the consumables real quick, and then we'll compare it to the other heavies at Tier 5. So I am running repair kits, multi-purpose, and adrenaline, pretty standard for me. And I am running provisions of protective kit, improved fuel, and pudding and tea. Could see an argument here for slipping in standard fuel to give yourself a little bit more engine horsepower, but that is your call. You can see here, not even running a full loadout on this tank. 43 rounds of AP, 12 rounds of APCR. Friendly reminder, you can change that to credits using the shell price button on the right, and a few rounds there of HE. Equipment, I am running the gun rammer to get our rate of fire up to the 11.3. Like I said, our pen numbers on this tank are pretty good, so I'm content with the 145 on the AP round. Also running a defense system to help out with the chance of engine damage, crew injury, and ammo rack. Running improved optics to get that view range up to 267. That's nothing great, but more important in my opinion than the camo net on this tank. Now, I would not recommend wasting any spare parts on level 2 or level 3 for this tank. It's just really not a keeper when you've got the KV1 out there, the T1 out there. Much better heavies and a lot more fun to drive in my opinion, so I will skip the rest of Tier 2 and 3. So here we have Tank Compare using blitzstars.com. And I've got the Churchill pulled up there on the left. No equipment on any of these tanks. And you can see here at damage per minute, we are well above these other tanks by at least 10%. So like I said, the gun is certainly a positive for this tank. We've got 145 pen, which is second best only to the VK3001H. We're doing 160 damage per shot, and we've got a rate of fire of 10.86. Shell velocity is a little low. Doesn't seem to be an issue in game in my opinion. Aim time on this 2.08 is really nice. Dispersion is also good, but like I said before, gun depression of -4 degrees is just absolutely horrible. Any sort of incline, and you cannot get an aim on anything. So you got to stay on flat surfaces, which certainly makes it difficult when you don't have the mobility. So we move down to movement, and you can see here just 26 kilometers per hour. Compare that to the KV at 34 or the T1 at 35, which seem like much more mobile tanks. And part of that, as you can see here, we only have 385 horsepower, so our effective horsepower per ton is 9.7. Moving on down to miscellaneous and extras here, really is not a great credit earner either. We do have a fairly good view range, and 840 hit points is the highest in the tier here. And then looking at your hull armor of 178, like I said before, hull armor is great. Just not an easy way for you to hide your turret and not your hull in the game. So it's kind of backwards from the way it should be. So your turret armor there of only 89. Looking at the 90-day average here, it does do fairly well at 58% win rate, average damage of 845. And average kills of 1.06. So use those as a basis for your gameplay, and we'll jump into some actual games. All right, so first game here in the Churchill bottom tier. Supremacy, as you can see, got some heavies, 2 KV2s and another Churchill. And instead of going all the way around the flat area there to A, I'm going to come up to this rock here. It's relatively flat, and I'll let us look over the hill a little bit. So you can see here we've already been spotted, but I'm just going to pull forward. No one's looking at us right now. They're focused on the cap circle, and this VK is just going to sit here while I pump in a few shots. We'll go ahead and put his track out and get a little extra help with some teammates there. And you can see I can't get down to the bottom of this hill, the ARL down there. So KV2 is looking up at me. So let's just back down the hill to a little bit of safety. They're going to push around the corner and focus on the tank down there. So we will drop down the hill, drop our adrenaline, and start putting some shots into this KV2. And aim for that track and get him stationary for a second as we go ahead and finish him off here. We have taken a shot from the Churchill below us. He's got the smaller gun. You can see he's doing about 80 damage per shot, but much higher rate of fire. And sure enough, he's just aiming up there at my turret. So again, gun depression issues. Got to get down to a flat area, getting tracked, getting shot from all different directions. Finish him off, and the T67 does us in. So I'll go ahead and speed it up here. We've got 2 guys sitting in the back, this KV2 just camping. You know, had he been in the action, he could have gotten a shot in and probably saved that VK, but instead he's going to put a low roll there into the Sentinel. And as you might imagine, is going to get circled of death by the T67. So part of the reason maybe I don't like this tank that much is it seems like I've really got some weak teams with it, and it's not a tank you can carry in. So 1652 damage, 2 kills, even as the bottom tier. Alright, so here's the second game in the Churchill as bottom tier on Oasis Palms. And the call there is to go left, and that's typically the call. The mediums typically outnumber heavies, and so they generally make the call. As you can see, getting a little bit of help there, but you know, they've already engaged the enemy, and you can see here I'm struggling even to get up the hill and get involved. These slow British tanks, including the AT. It's just really difficult to carry a game in them. So we snap that one and miss as we are carrying around to the outside. And there are a lot of tanks over here. That red VK, not sure why he went straight into the middle of these guys. But you can see here, even on that relatively flat surface, we lose our gun depression and can't get a shot down. Even on an angled KV-1 there, we can get some penetration. So like I said, the gun is not the issue with this tank. It's the depression and the mobility. So as we are reloading and working on our gun depression, he gets 213 damage into us. Now, I'm seeing this Chi new here, so I'm thinking I can penetrate him with HE, but no, not so much. Stick with the AP there. And these guys are popping out at a chance to shoot me here. Yeah, the Churchill does have some trollish armor, but most of these guys are probably aiming at my turret. I mean, at the hull, and so they're going to bounce quite a few shots if they do that. And so we've got one tank left. So now we've got to find their lone survivor. And the funny thing with this is, you know, I'm so slow. I've decided, well, you know what? I'm just going to stay back here. Stay on the ridge. Maybe I'll get a shot long distance if someone pops him up. And lo and behold, he comes up behind me. So we're struggling here with our gun depression. And I figured I'd try to time it, but totally chunk that shot. So here he comes back around through all the carnage of these old tanks. And we go ahead and finish him off for kill number 3. So 1526 in damage, second best on the team there. You can see we got into a few tanks. So here we are as top tier on Desert Sands, and you can see we've got some good mediums and light tanks over here. So I'm gonna push right with them and head more into the middle, just hoping that we'll get some spots and don't have to drive all the way down there. And sure enough, easy 4D comes rolling in here, and we are just going to finish him off before he can reload. You can see here the difficulty in turning traverse wise. That AMX just YOLO'd into our entire team. Next comes the M6. It's certainly not going to have any gun depression there, but we'll get into him, give him a little love tap, and finish him off for kill number 2. Now it looks like if they've got 3 tanks all on the far side of the map there. Track the Hetzer, and he gets taken out. So we're down to 3 tanks now. I am just pushing forward. Can be a little bit of a bully in this tank as top tier, which is nice. And we got a shot on the Leo. Now I'm just going to focus on the Chaffee here. And you can see even the Leo is bouncing a bunch of shots from the side. He comes in and hits me. Does 400 damage to himself with the ram there. He finishes me off after we get a kill on the Chaffee there. So leave him with 13 hit points, and he is on the run. and he gets taken out. For the win, we end up with 3 kills and 2,013 damage, which was good for level 2 mastery badge. 12 shots landed there. Hit 6 of their tanks. So, nice little damage there. Alright, so top tier on Middleburg. And we've got a TD and 3 other heavies down here, but you know, as the KV1 says there, the hill is the place to win or lose this game, in my opinion. 8 or 9 times out of 10, the team that takes the hill wins this game. And we've got a very aggressive tank here. Maybe he has a spotting mission or something, who knows, but he just completely YOLO'd through our team there and appears to have survived. And you know, it can be a little bit painful in this tank climbing hills. And look at these guys, they're all down here in the valley. AMX coming at us. Want to try to ram him, but obviously we've got very little mobility. Trying to do everything I can to keep him in front of us. And we are just barely managing to do so. That wasn't very good driving by the AMX. He was too far away. To do a good circle of death in that tank, you need to be much, much closer. So now I've taken a shot from behind, a second shot there. But I'm just trying to push forward. Let's see who that was shooting me. Another Churchill, and you can see that shot aimed down a little bit lower than I wanted it. There's no way I can get a shot in on that hill there. Makes this tank really difficult. So this is not working out well for us here. I am not getting much support up on the hill. We'll be lucky to survive this. Just trying to. We managed to finish him off. We've only got 80 hit points left, and they've got 4 tanks. So, not a lot of tanks up here for a game where they called hill. There's the 820. Finally finish him off. Leo is now circling us, and you can see not gonna happen. We're just too slow in this tank. We end up with 3 kills and 1835 damage in the loss. You know, 91-0. Not much effort there. 13 shots landed. Alright guys, so here's the last game I'm going to show on Castilla. Top tier in the Churchill, and I've changed out the gun to the 6-pounder. It has a much faster reload time of 3.5 seconds, but only does, I think it's 90 average damage. And the pen is a little bit lower, I believe, at 130. So I just felt like I couldn't find the right combination with this tank, because you have to be exposed and you don't have the mobility to really hide or get you know, into a peek-a-boom situations. I felt like, well, maybe this gun would be better, but you know, the results were mixed. I still feel like this Churchill is very team dependent. Like a KV1 or T1, you can actually carry a tier 5 game very easily in that, because it has the mobility and it has the armor. Whereas this Churchill just does not have the mobility like those other tanks to allow you to carry a game. You can see that Hetzer there. We're only doing, about 90 shots. And just trying around here, just see if we can get one of these to go in. Sure enough. So the gun is fairly accurate. We're going to push forward here. And miss that shot, but go ahead and finish him off on the left. You can see I took a shot from the left there. Missed that on the Electo, but we managed to get the kill in there. And like I said, very team dependent. This team all stayed together. We all pushed together. And, we're getting shot from over there. They're probably up on the hill. Once I back up and get out of visibility, I won't be spotted because there's no one around here to spot me. So I figured I'll just pull up to the hill here, get behind this bush, and wait for them to come to us. One of the downfalls with this tank is I could waste a lot of time chasing, but not going to help too much. So I'm just going to pump in a few shots here with our quick reload onto the hill there. And sure enough, here they come. And, it is kind of nice being able to load off these shots this fast. A lot of people don't expect you to be able to reload and shoot that fast, but again, you're only doing 90 damage. Another shot from up top, so we'll go ahead and get low. And you can see we've killed the engine there. There's poor little Valentine, can't really do anything to the front of me. And we'll finish him off. So we've got 3 kills with this setup. But, like I said, this is a very mixed review in my opinion of this tank. I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe if they'd switched the armor around and you had 178 millimeters on the turret, and you find some hills and whatnot to get hull down, it would be a lot better. But again, that -4 degrees of gun depression really comes into play with this tank. So here's the Chaffee up here, not sure what he is doing. They're just pumping in a few shots. So we end up with 3 kills, 1529 damage. Was good for a level 2 mastery badge there. 17 shots landed. So, guys, not really a lot of tips on this tank. You just really got to play it as best you can on flat surfaces, certainly no hills, and try to stick with your team and not get isolated because you're going to get circled of death by anything that's faster than you. It's just a difficult tank. So move on once you get past it, and, as always, stay safe out there. Have fun. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.